يقول الحق وهو يهدي السبيل وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إمام الموحدين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فأحييكم بتحية الإسلام، بتحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear respected brothers and sisters, last week we spoke about the creed of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We said that monotheism was the creed of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah Jalla wa Ala commanded the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to follow that creed. And we are also commanded likewise to follow the creed of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And that is to worship Allah alone and not to associate any partner with Him. And this is the same message that all the messengers came with. They came with the same message, to worship Allah alone and not to associate partner with Him. Tonight, inshallah, we are going to talk about Tawheed and Shirk. Tawheed is the oneness of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and Shirk is associating partner with Allah. So Shirk is the opposite of Tawheed. May Allah make us among those who worship Allah alone, and may He help us for us to abstain from Shirk. He said that وَأَعْظَمُ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ التَّوْحِيدُ وَأَعْظَمُ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ التَّوْحِيدُ. The greatest of that which Allah has commanded with is Tawheed. This is the greatest commandment of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Azza Kamaluhu. And He defined At-Tawheed here. He said, وَهُوَ إِفْرَادُ اللَّهِ بِالْعِبَادَةِ. This is the definition of At-Tawheed. وَهُوَ إِفْرَادُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى بِالْعِبَادَةِ, which is to single out Allah in worship. And remember, the definition of worship is ismun jami'un likulli ma yuhibbuhu Allah wa yardahu min al-aqwali wal-af'ali al-zahirati wal-batina. So worship is a comprehensive term. So we have different types of worship. We mentioned that in our previous lecture. The act of worship, the bodily act of worship, the act of worship of the heart, the financial act of worship, all these types of worship should only be for Allah Jalla wa Ala. You should only put your trust in Allah. You should only fear Allah Jalla wa Ala. You should only depend upon Allah Jalla wa Ala. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said to Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, when he was a child, he said, Ya ghulamun, inni u'allimuka kalimatin احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك وإذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. This shows that al-isti'ana wa dua should only be for Allah Jalla wa Ala, and they are acts of worship. He said, "Oh young boy, I will definitely teach you some words. If you preserve those words, Allah Jalla wa Ala will protect you. And if you preserve those words, you will meet Allah before you, meaning Allah Jalla wa Ala will preserve you." He said that, إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. No, he said yes. He said, إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. If you want to ask for anything, ask Allah Jalla wa Ala. This means things that are only specifically done by Allah Jalla wa Ala. I can ask you to give me some money because you are capable of doing so, isn't it? But I cannot ask you to give me long life because you are not capable to do so. So I'm not allowed to ask you such question. Or sorry, I should not ask you for such help. I should not ask you to make me somebody that will enter Al-Jannah because you are not capable of doing so. And he said, وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. If you want to depend, you have to depend on Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah says, "Ud'uni astajib lakum. Wa idha sa'alaka ibadi anni fa inni qaribun ujibu da'wata ad-da'i idha da'an." Allah said, "Call me and I shall answer to you." And he said to the messenger, if my servant asks of me, Allah didn't even say to him, Allah said, "Fa inni qarib." I am close to that individual with my knowledge. So all the acts of ibadah should be for Allah alone. But inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The best act in salah is sujood. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, "Aqrabu ma yakunu al-abdu ila rabbihi wa huwa sajid." Aqrabu ma yakunu al-abdu ila rabbihi fahuwa sajid. Or kama qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The nearest that the servant to Allah Jalla wa Ala is when he is in sujood. Nowadays, people are sujooding for their sheikhs. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. They are going down, bowing down, their foreheads on the floor for a human being. May Allah Jalla wa Ala guide us. So Tawheed is ifradullahi bil ibadah, to single out Allah in worship. And he said, "Ya Tawheed lughatan masdar wahada yuwahidu tawheedan." A Tawheed is masdar. I think it's called infinitive, something like that, isn't it? It is from the root word wahada, is when you single out something. When you make something one. Yuwahidu is singling out. Tawheedan is when you single out something. Hay ja'lu shay'in wahidan, to make something one. To make something one. That's why we say, Qul huwallahu ahad. Say Allah Jalla wa Ala is one, He is unique. وهذا لا يتحقق أو لا يتحقق إلا بنفي وإثبات. And this is not achievable except with negation and affirmation. Tawheed is not achievable except with negation and affirmation. To make something one is not achievable except with negation and affirmation. بمعنى نفي الحكم سوى الموحد is to negate law and ruling except for the one that you single out in worship. And who is that? It's Allah Jalla wa Ala. Wa isbatuhu lahu, and to affirm that law, that's ruling for Allah Jalla wa Ala alone. فمثلا, and he said, for example, نقول إنه لا يتم للإنسان التوحيد حتى يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. He said that truly, surely a person tawheed will not be complete until he testify that there is no God but Allah Jalla wa Ala. Until he testifies that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah Jalla wa Ala. فَيَنْفِي الْأُلُوهِيَّةَ, so he negates divinity. أَمَّا سِوَى اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى, for anyone other than Allah Jalla wa Ala, he negates divinity, meaning worship. For anyone other than Allah Jalla wa Ala, وَيُثْبِتُهَا لِلَّهِ وَحْدَهُ, and he affirm it for Allah alone. Is this understandable? Is this clear? You understand, Sheikh? Mafhum? Yeah, Sheikh, mafhum? Okay, mashallah. وفي الاصطلاح, the first meaning is the literal meaning. The technical meaning now, the Islamic meaning, Al-Rafahu al-Mu'allif, the author of the book, defined it, and he said, At-Tawheedu huwa ifradullahi bil-ibadah. The Tawheed is to single out Allah in worship. Ay, an ta'bud Allah wahdahu la tushriku bihi shay'a. It's for you to worship Allah alone and not to associate any partner with Allah. When we watch the news, the Malaysians that are sent to Sudan, that are killing innocent Muslims, when you look at them, some of them have many charms on their body. Charms. This is what they depend upon. Is this Tawheed? No, this is not Tawheed. Because the Prophet said, وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. If you want to put your trust, you have to put your trust in Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Azza Kamaluhu. Go to some certain countries in Africa. I don't want to name names. MashaAllah. Hufat. You go to certain countries in Africa that I know, that I came from, that continent. You will find some people, even in their cars, they have the picture of their sheikh, their dead sheikh. They worship them. May Allah Jalla wa Ala guide us and protect us. But he says here, Al-Uthaymin rahimahullah, he said here, وَهُنَاكَ تَعْرِيفٌ أَعَمُّ لِلتَّوْحِيدِ. He said, and there is more general definition of a tawheed. وَهُوَ, and it is, إِفْرَادُ اللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى بِمَا يَخْتَصُّ بِهِ. This is the general definition. This, it covers everything. It covers everything. He said, and there is more general definition of a tawheed, and it is singling out Allah in what is specific to Him. Can you name me something that is specific to Allah? One thing that is specific to Allah. Al-ibadah is one, anything. Creation. Al min khaliqin khayrullahi yarzuqukum min as-sama'i wal ard. Is there any creator who is providing for you from the heavens and the earth? Creation is only for Allah Jalla wa Ala. Giving life, causing someone to die. These are specifically to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Nobody is capable of doing that. The day and night. That's life. Guidance. But hidayatul tawfiq is in the hands of Allah Jalla Jalaluh. Now, where is the board? Oh, you don't want me to write? I can read it. He said that ifradullahi subhanahu wa ta'ala bima yakhtassu bihi. Bima yakhtassu bihi. Ifradullahi ta'ala bima yakhtassu bihi. There should be a pen and a finger. So anything that is specific to Allah Jalla wa Ala, why are we asking other people? Does that make sense? Going to the grave, the cemetery, asking the deceased to intercede on your behalf or to help you. You see women going there. It is difficult for me to conceive. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I want to conceive. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Now, yeah. You make dua for him. Do you ask your father to make dua for you? Why you don't ask your father? Because he's dead. How can you ask a dead person to supplicate for you? Exactly. The grave of the Prophet is Rawdah. It's a garden of the gardens of paradise. But are you allowed to go there and ask the messenger to give you something? He cannot do it for you. He can't, because he is not alive. And even if he was alive, if it is something specific to Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cannot give you. In fact, he will not even encourage you to ask him. You will ask him to make dua for you. If he was alive, then he will supplicate for you. Is ifradullahi ta'ala bima yakhtassu bihi. Ifradullahi subhanahu wa ta'ala bima yakhtassu bihi. Bima yakhtassu bihi. This is the general definition. The first definition is ifradullahi ta'ala bil ibadah. Wa anwa'u tawheed thalatha. There are three types of tawheed. Naam. MashaAllah. Tawheed rububiyyah. What is the second one? Tawheed al-huluhiyyah. Huluhiyyah. Bima'na al-ibadah. And the third one is Tawheed al-asma'i was-sifat. Asma'i was-sifat. وقد جمعت هذه الأنواع الثلاثة في آية واحدة من كتاب الله عز وجل. All these three types of Tawheed has been combined in one single ayah from the Quran, from the book of Allah Jalla Azza wa Jalla. This is where the istiqra. This is how the scholars they read and they derive from what they read, and they said that Tawheed is Tawheed. There are three types of Tawheed. Listen to this ayah. It's in Surah Al-Maryam. And I want you to point out the ayahs for Tawheed, the ayah of Tawheed Rububiyyah, the other ayah of Tawheedul Uluhiyya, and the final one of Tawheedul Asma wa Sifat. Allah says in Surah Al-Maryam, Rabbus samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma fa'buduhu wastabir li'ibadati hal ta'lamu lahu samiyya. Surah Al-Maryam verse 65. Allah says, Lord of the heavens and the earth, and all that is between them. So worship him alone and be constant and patient in his worship. Do you know of any who is similar to him? In this ayah, you have the three types of Tawheed. Tawheed, let's start with Tawheed Ububiyah. Tawheed Ububiyah is Tawheed of Lordship. Rabbus samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma. This is Tawheed Ububiyah. Lord of the heavens and the earth and all that is between them. This is Tawheed Ububiyah. Fa'budu wastabir li'ibadati. So worship him alone and be constant and patient in his worship. This is Tawheedul Uluhiyya. Tawheed al-ibadah, Tawheed of worship, because he says fa'budu wastabir li'ibadati. And finally, he said, Hal ta'lamu lahu samiyya. Do you know of any who is similar to him? This is Tawheedul Asma wa Sifat. Tawheed of the names and beautiful attributes of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So this is where the scholars, they took the three types of Tawheed. So let's go. Number one is Tawheedul Rububiyyah. Tawheed of Lordship. This type of Tawheed, even the idol worshippers, they believed in this Tawheed. They believe in this Tawheed. They believe that Allah is the creator. They believe that Allah is the provider. They believe that Allah is the one that gives life and causes death. They believe in all that. But because they didn't believe in Tawheed al-Uluhiyya, the Tawheed of divinity and worship, that is the reason why they became idol worshippers. And when they were asked, why are you worshipping these idols? وَمَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَا إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. They said that we are not worshipping these idols. We are only doing that for them to bring us closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. So this is exactly what people are doing today. They are worshipping their sheikhs, claiming that their sheikhs will bring them closer to Allah Jalla Jalalu wa Azza Kamalu. Okay, what is? And Allah says, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. If you ask them, O Messenger, if you ask them, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth, they will say it's Allah Jalla wa Ala. So that means believing in Tawheedul Rububiyyah is not sufficient. It's not sufficient. You have to believe in all three types, or you should believe in all the three types of a Tawheed. And Allah says, قُلْ مَنْ يَرْزُقُكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَمَّنْ يَمْلِكُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَمَنْ يُخْرِجُ الْحَيَّ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ وَمَنْ يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ فَسَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ فَقُلْ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, if you ask them, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who provides for you from the heavens and from the earth, or who owns hearing and sight, and who brings out the living from the dead, and living from the dead, and brings out the dead from the living. They will say, and who disposes the affairs, they will say, Allah. Say, will you not then be afraid of Allah's punishment for setting up rivals in worship with Allah? So this shows, brothers and sisters, the idol worshippers, they believe in Tawheed Rububiyyah. But what is Tawheed Rububiyyah? وهو إفراد الله تعالى بالخلق والملك والتدبير. Is single out Allah with creation, with ownership, and disposing of all affairs. إفراد الله تعالى بالخلق والملك والتدبير. This is Tawheed Rububiyyah. Allah says, Allahu khaliqu kulli shay. Allah is the creator of everything. Allah Jalla wa Ala is the creator of everything. Even what you do, Allah is the one that created it. The idols that the idol worshippers were worshipping, the wood that they carve, Allah is the creator of the wood. Allah Jalla wa Ala is the creator of that wood. And Allah says, هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض لا إله إلا هو. Is there any creator other than Allah who provides for you from the sky and the earth? So that shows that Allah Jalla wa Ala is the provider. And Allah says, ألا له الخلق والأمر تبارك الله رب العالمين. Surely is creation and commandment. The creation and commandment belongs to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And Allah says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا. No, Allah is. Okay, this is the, okay. These are the evidences of Tawheed Rububiyyah, Tawheed of Lordship. As for Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, بمعنى توحيد العبادة وهو إفراد الله تعالى بالعبادة بأن لا يتخذ الإنسان مع الله أحدا يعبده ويتقرب إليه كما يعبد الله تعالى ويتقرب إليه. Is singling out Allah in worship or with worship. And that is, a person should not take anyone other than Allah and worship that person or that thing. بأن لا يتخذ الإنسان مع الله أحدا يعبده ويتقرب إليه. You should not take anything with Allah Jalla wa Ala and worship that thing and draw closer to that thing. As you worship Allah and draw closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala, you should not do that. You should not worship anyone. You should not draw closer to anyone like how you draw closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala. How do we draw closer to Allah? With what? How do we draw closer to Allah? Huh? No. How do we come closer to Allah Jalla wa Ala? With what? With ibadah. You will never come close to Allah if you don't worship Allah. You're not going to come close to Allah if you don't obey Allah. So we should not use this and give it to somebody else. We should not give worship or worship somebody else or something. That should be specifically for Allah Jalla wa Ala. As Allah says in the Quran, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. And worship Allah and join none with Him in worship. So worship should only be for Allah Jalla wa Ala. And Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ. And they were not commanded except that they should worship Allah alone and making His religion purely for Him, and to be monotheist. This is what they have been commanded, the messengers, all the creation, the humans and the jinns. This is what Allah Jalla wa Ala has commanded them. وَالْأَدِلَّةُ مِنَ السُنَّةِ كَثِيرًا. And there are so many evidences in the Sunnah. And we're going to take just few evidences from the Sunnah. And this is the hadith of Mu'adh radiyallahu anhu. He was with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the Messenger said to him, Ya Mu'adh, atadri ma haqqullahi ala al-ibadi wa ma haqqul ibadi ala Allah. O Mu'adh, do you know the right of Allah upon his servant? No, the right of Allah upon his creation, his servant, and the right of the servant, the creation of the slaves, to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And he said, Allahu wa Rasuluhu a'lam. Allah and his messenger knows best. And the messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Haqqullahi ala al-ibadi an ya'buduhu wa la yushriku bihi shay'a. The rights that Allah have upon us, his slaves, is to worship him alone and not to associate any partner with Allah. وَحَقُّ الْعِبَادِ عَلَى اللَّهِ أَلَّا يُعَذِّبَ مَنْ لَا يُشْرِكُ بِهِ شَيْئًا. And the rights that we have upon Allah is that Allah will not punish anyone who does not associate partner with him. What does that mean? Does that mean that if you don't commit shirk, regardless whether you worship Allah or not, you are not going to be punished? What does that mean? What does it mean? He said that the rights that we have upon Allah is that Allah will not punish anyone who does not associate partner with him. So that means if Allah don't punish you, what is the opposite of that? Allah Jalla wa Ala will grant you paradise. Exactly. Allah will give you rahmah, the opposite of punishment. And rahmah, with Allah's rahmah, you will enter Al-Jannah. So does that mean if a Muslim doesn't pray, he doesn't fast, as long as he abstains from shirk, does that mean that he will gain Allah's rahmah and he will be saved from Allah's punishment? Yes? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Worship him. Mm-hmm. Naam. Shirk. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. What does this mean? It doesn't mean that if you don't worship Allah, you're going to free from Allah, you're going to be saved from Allah's punishment. That was their own time. She was a prostitute, however, she believed in Allah. Because Iman is what you say with your tongue, you believe in your heart, and you put it into practice. So it means here, if somebody abstain from shirk, but he is committing one of the major sins and he dies, he is tahta mashi'atillah. If Allah wants, Allah will punish him. If Allah wants, Allah will forgive him. But he will not be in Jahannam forever. Is that clear? So anyone who worship Allah and do not associate partner with Allah, he worship Allah and abstain from the major sins, he will be freed from Allah's punishment. For any individual that is upon the major sins, but he abstain from shirk, he might be punished. He might be punished. So therefore, we want to abstain from all sins, whether they are major and minor. But if you avoid all these sins, and you don't associate partner with Allah, and you worship Allah accordingly, then your right upon Allah is that Allah will not punish you. Is that clear? Allah will not punish you. Is that clear? And this, we finish with this. Now we go into Tawheed al-Asma'i wa Sifat. Tawheed of the names and attributes of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Tawheed of the beautiful names and attributes of Allah Jalla wa Ala. It means ifradullah ta'ala bima samma bihi nafsah wa wasafa bihi nafsahu fi kitabih. And he says here, he's singling out Allah with what Allah has named himself and has described himself in his book, in the Quran. What did Allah say? Allah says he can see, he can hear. So what are you supposed to say? Allah can see, he can hear. Can somebody see without eyes? Can you hear without ears? Then we will say Allah has ears and he has eyes. But laisa kamislihi shay'un wa huwa sami'ul basir. Allah's eyes and our eyes is not the same. Is that clear? So we should believe. Allah said he is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Wadud. We should believe in all these names. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. To Allah belongs the beautiful names. Use those names to call to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Use those names to call Allah, to make dua to Allah Jalla wa Ala. Aw ala lisani rasulihi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You should single out Allah with the names that he has named himself, the descriptions that he has described himself in his Quran, in his book, and from upon the tongue of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he said, وَذَلِكَ بِإِثْبَاتِ مَا أَثْبَتَهُ. And you will gain that by affirming what Allah has affirmed for himself. Allah says he can see. We will say Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Allah can see. And his sifa, if he can see, that means he has eyes, isn't it? Because Allah has affirmed it, and we also should affirm it. وَنَفْيُ مَا نَفَاهُ مِنْ غَيْرِ تَحْرِيفٍ وَلَا تَعْتِيلٍ وَمِنْ غَيْرِ تَكْيِيفٍ وَلَا تَمْثِيلٍ. And we should negate what Allah Jalla wa Ala has negated from himself. Is it from himself or of himself? From himself. Whatever Allah has negated, we should negate it without distortion. A tahrif is to change the meaning. When Allah Jalla wa Ala says he has hands, you say it is the power of Allah. We don't change it. When Allah says in the Quran that he has hands, we should believe that Allah Jalla wa Ala has hands. We should not do any distortion. Wala ta'til, without no denial. You have some sect, they denied Allah's attribute. It is not allowed. And also, without saying ow, we should not say ow. Allah has eyes. Ow. How does Allah's eyes look like? It is not allowed at all. We should believe and affirm what Allah has affirmed for himself and negate what Allah has negated for himself, and we should believe in that without this distortion, no denial, and without saying no likening in Allah with his creation. Is that clear? Is this one clear? Okay. That's why a man came to Imam Malik. Allah says in the Quran, Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arshi istawa. Allah, the most beneficial, ascended above his throne. Is that clear? The man came and he asked Al-Imam Malik, how Allah ascended, or how is Allah ascending above his throne? He asked Imam Malik about al-istiwa. And Imam Malik said to him, al-istiwa'u ma'lum. Ascension is known. When they say something ascended, We know what is ascension. Is that clear? وَالْكَيْفُ مَجْهُولٌ. The how of it is unknown. Nobody knows how Allah is ascending or ascended above his throne. Nobody knows how. وَالْإِيمَانُ بِهِ wajib. And he said to believe in that it is obligatory. وَالسُّؤَالُ عَنْهُ بِدْعَةٌ. And asking questioning that, asking about that is innovation. So he asked for the man to be kicked out from his majlis. He said, I see you as a man of evil. And he commanded for the man to be thrown out from his majlis. So we don't know how Allah is ascending above his throne. We know that Allah is above everything. Is that clear? We should not ask how. We should not ask how. We should only believe in that. May Allah Jalla wa Ala guide us. So, mashallah, the people, the followers of Musa, they said that they will not believe in Musa until they see Allah. They see Allah. Then they will believe in Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Can we see Allah? No. If somebody asks you, can we see Allah? Sheikh, can we see Allah? If you say no, that you are wrong. We can see Allah. Not in this world, but in Al-Jannah. In this world, nobody will see Allah. Yeah. MashaAllah, that is the greatest reward of the people of Al-Jannah, to see Allah Jalla wa Ala. So now let's come to Sheikh Al-Fawzani. He said that هذا مهم جدا. This is very important. إن توحيد أعظم ما أمر الله به. Indeed, Tawheed is the greatest of what Allah has commanded with. كل الأوامر التي أمر الله بها كلها بعد توحيد. All Allah's commandments that Allah Jalla wa Ala has commanded with, they all come after a Tawheed. والدليل على أن أعظم ما أمر الله به التوحيد. The evidence that the greatest of Allah's command is Tawheed is Allah's statement in Surah An-Nisa, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. And worship Allah and do not associate with Allah, do not associate anything with Allah Jalla wa Ala. وهذه الآية فيها عشرة الحقوق. In this ayah, there are 10 rights in this ayah. Can you look for this ayah, please, in Surah An-Nisa, Surah An-Nisa, verse 36. وَلِهَذَا تُسَمَّى آيَاتُ الْحُقُوقِ الْعَشْرَةِ. That's why it is called the ayah of the 10 rights. أول هذه الحقوق حق الله سبحانه. The first right of the rights of this ayah, of these 10 rights, is the right of Allah Jalla wa Ala, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. This is the first right. The second right, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. To be dutiful and kind to your parents. وَهُوَ الْحَقُّ الثَّانِي وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى. هذا هو الحق الثالث. And this is the third right. Inshallah, go and look for that ayah in Surah An-Nisa, verse 36. He said, Al-Muhim, أن الله بدها بحقه سبحانه وتعالى. And the most important thing is that Allah started with His own right. And that is, وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. That you should not associate partner with Him. Allah said, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ. And He doesn't stop there. وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Do not associate partner with Allah Jalla wa Ala. وَلَمْ يَقْتَصِرْ عَلَى قَوْلِهِ. Allah didn't stop and only say وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ, but He continued to say وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. لأن العبادة لا تصح مع الشرك ولا تنفع. Because the act of worship is not correct with shirk, and it will not benefit. Is that clear? Act of worship that is mixed with shirk, it will not, it's not correct, it's not accepted, and also it will not benefit. ولا تسمى عبادة إلا إذا كانت خالصة لله عز وجل. An act of worship is not called an act of worship until it is sincerely done for Allah Jalla wa Ala alone. So if you worship Allah without any sincerity, that act of worship is not accepted. In fact, it is not even called an act of worship. إن كان معها شرك فإنها لا تكون عبادة مهما أتعب الإنسان نفسه فيها. And if this ibadah is mixed with shirk, no matter how tired that the person that is performing this ibadah becomes, his act of worship will not be accepted. His act of worship will not be accepted. And he says here, إذ لا تصح العبادة مع وجود الشرك أبدا. Because ibadah will not be accepted, it will not be correct if it is mixed with shirk. It will never be correct. Is that clear? If you worship, how can somebody worship Allah with shirk? Can anybody tell me? I'm talking about a Muslim worshiping Allah and mixing it with shirk. Huh? When you go into the graveyard, you're asking the saint, is that worship? I'm talking about how can a Muslim worship Allah and mix it with shirk? Yeah. Huh? MashaAllah, riyah. When you are worshiping Allah, you're doing it to show off, then you are performing ibadah, mixing it with shirk. Is it the shirk akbar or shirk asghar? It's the minor shirk, isn't it? Sure enough. This is what the Sheikh is talking about. It will never be accepted. Yeah. No. Well, that is what they are doing. They are praying in the masjid, but when they are praying in the masjid, are they praying and doing the juju while they are praying? Well, that's what I'm saying. When you worship, you mix it with shirk. This is a riyah. So inshallah, let's go. Because of time, let's move fast, inshallah. So he says, وَأَعْظَمُ مَا نَهَى عَنْهُ الشِّرْكُ. The greatest of which he prohibited is a shirk. Associating partner with Allah, this is the greatest thing that Allah has forbidden us from. Is that clear? وَهُوَ دَعْوَةُ غَيْرِهِ مَعَهُ وَالدَّلِيلُ ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. And that is to worship something else with Allah Jalla wa Ala. And the evidence for this, Allah says, and worship Allah alone and do not associate partner with Him. Do not associate anything with Him. أعظم ما نهى الله عنه الشرك لأن أعظم الحقوق هو حق الله عز وجل فإذا فرط فيه الإنسان فقد فرط في أعظم الحقوق وهو توحيد الله عز وجل. And the greatest of what Allah has warned against is a shirk. And anybody that is heedless of this, you are careless, you abandon this, you abandon something that is very great. You have abandoned something that is very great. Because this is one of the rights of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So if you are using charm, you're going into the grave, you're doing juju, you're putting something underneath your pillow, you're tying something on your waist. One day when I went to Africa, I found one of my sisters putting a thread on a child, on a baby's neck. And she said that will help the baby to teeth. And I was like, this is not allowed. This is shirk. And she has to cut that, that thread that was hung on his neck. Some people have a particular thing that they will write on a slate. And this is not Quran at all. The names of the jinns. And they will wash that. And then they will use that water to wash themselves. And they will say, this will make them become rich people. They will go to the fortune tellers and pay a huge amount of money for them to be successful. But when you look the situation of these fortune tellers, they are the poorest amongst the community. How can somebody help you to be rich when himself is very poor? So this is not allowed at all. So if you abandon this, you have abandoned one of the greatest rights of Allah Jalla wa Ala. It says here, معنى الشرك والشرك هو صرف حق من حقوق الله لغيره, is to direct one of Allah's rights to somebody other than Him. Worship, you direct it. Worship, you do it. You worship somebody else other than Allah Jalla wa Ala, this is shirk. أو مساواة غير الله بالله فيما هو حق لله, or to make somebody with Allah equal in something that only Allah is capable of doing that. To say, if Allah wills and you will, how can you say that? Insha'Allahu wa shita. Can you say that? By the will of Allah and your will. This is not allowed because you have made something equal with Allah Jalla wa Ala. It is only what Allah wants that will happen. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. So this is what is shirk. وَحَقُّ اللَّهِ, and the right of Allah, كُلُّ مَا لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهِ إِلَّا اللَّهُ, is anything that nobody is capable of doing except Allah Jalla wa Ala. This is the right of Allah Jalla wa Ala. This is the worst names that you can name anyone. The King of Kings is not allowed. Who is the King of Kings? It's Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah is the King of Kings. To call anyone to say He is the King of Kings, it is not allowed in Islam. May Allah Jalla wa Ala guide and protect us. Allah says, He say here, فَلَا يُطْلَبُ إِلَّا مِنْهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. You don't seek from anyone anything that is only Allah capable. I don't ask you to make me somebody that will live forever. I don't ask you to make me somebody that will have a long lifespan. I don't ask you to make me somebody that is successful, because you are not capable of doing that. And that is the greatest form of injustice. Allah says in Surah Al-Luqman, Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Verily shirk is the greatest form of injustice. Luqman, he advised his son. He said, Ya bunayya, la tushrik billah, inna shirka la dhulmun azim. He said, oh my son, do not associate partner with Allah. Indeed, associating partner with Allah is the greatest form of injustice, the greatest sin. And Allah says, وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ إِفْتَرَى إِثْمًا عَظِيمًا. Whoever associate partner with Allah, then he has indeed forged a tremendous sin. So this shows that, shirk is the greatest form of disbelief. And Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةَ وَمَأْوَاهُ النَّارُ وَمَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ مِنْ أَنصَارٍ. Verily, whosoever commits shirk with Allah, then Allah has forbidden paradise for him, and the fire will be his abode, and for the wrongdoers there are no helpers. So this shows that if you die while committing shirk, you will dwell in Jahannam forever. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, Qultu ya Rasulallah, ayyu dhanbi a'zam. He asked the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which of the sins are the greatest? Which of the sin is the greatest? Qala an taj'ala lillahi niddan wa huwa khalaqaka. Is that you should make a rival unto Allah while He has created you. And also, brothers and sisters, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he warned us against 7 deadly destructive sins. He said, Ijtanibu saba al-mubiqat. He said, avoid the 7 deadly destructive sins. And when he was asked the first thing, he said that ashirku billah, associating partner with Allah Jalla wa Ala. And there are 2 types of shirk. What is the first type? What is shirkul akbar? Huh? What is the example? Huh? Worshipping idols. And what else? Calling other than Allah Jalla wa Ala. Worshipping other than Allah Jalla wa Ala. This is shirkul akbar. Then you have shirkul asghar. This is your action, your words, your worship. If you have any showing off in it, you do it for people to hear, you do it for people to praise you, this is shirku al-asghar. So let's talk now and conclude the differences between shirkul akbar wa shirkul asghar. The differences between okay, number 1, the differences between shirkul akbar wa shirkul asghar. This is very important. And what I will do, I will ask you for the evidences. They are all in what we just spoke about. Number 1, he said, ashirkul akbar wa huwa kullu shirkin atlaqahu shari'u wa kana mutadamminan لخروج الإنسان من الدين. لخروج الإنسان من الدين. It is any action that you do that Allah, the legislator, He has considered that act will take you out of the fold of Islam. For example, worshipping an idol. It will take you out of the fold of Islam. Washirkul asghar. Okay, what is the evidence for this? The first one. What is the evidence? Yes. وَلَوْ أَشْرَكُوا لَحَبِطَ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. If they commit shirk, all what they used to do will be nullified. And if your action is nullified, automatically you have come out of the fold of Islam. And Allah says, وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ بَلِ اللَّهَ فَاعْبُدْ وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. That is one. As for الشرك الأصغر وهو كل عمل قولي أو فعلي أطلق عليه الشرع ووصف بأنه شرك ولكنه لا يخرج عن الملة. It's any action or any statement, and according to the legislation, it is described to be shirk, but it will not take you out of the fold of Islam. You see the first difference? Shirkul Akbar will take you out of the fold of Islam. Shirkul Asghar will not take you out of the fold of Islam. Is that clear? Number two, Shirkul Akbar yukhriju sahibahu min al-millah. Yeah, we just talk about this. No, what is this? Sorry. What he's saying here, وَعَلَى الْإِنسَانِ الْحَذَرِ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ أَكْبَرِهِ وَأَصْغَرِهِ فَقَدْ قَالَ تَعَالَى إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَنْ يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. But you should avoid, a person should avoid the major and the minor shirk. You shouldn't say because shirkul asghar, it doesn't take me out of the fold of Islam, so I should be committing shirkul asghar. You should avoid both shirkul akbar and shirkul asghar. And he says here, number three, shirkul akbar, it will nullify all your deeds. As for shirkul asghar, it will only nullify the deeds that you commit shirking. Is that clear? For example, they did the iqamah. You're praying your salah. You heard, you turned, and you saw somebody that you want to impress. And you say, I'm going to beautify my voice to impress him or her. That is your intention. You say Allahu Akbar, you fight very hard to repel that. You said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this to please Allah. If you pray, your prayer is accepted. But if you pray, your intention is to impress someone, then that action is nullified because you have committed shirkul asghar in it. If it is one rakah, that rakah is not accepted because you have committed shirk in it. So the action, if you don't intend to show off in all the action, you show off in part of the action, the part that you show off in will be nullified. The other part will be accepted. This is the difference between shirkul akbar and shirkul asghar. Shirkul akbar, if you die committing it, you will dwell in Jahannam forever. But as for shirkul asghar, you're not going to be in Jahannam forever, but you will enter Jahannam for a particular time, and Allah Jalla wa Ala will release you and you will enter Al-Jannah. And finally, Shirkul Akbar, if you die upon it, you will not be forgiven. But as for Shirkul Asghar, if you die while committing it, on the day of judgment, your deeds will be weighed. If your good deeds overweigh your evil deeds, then Allah will forgive you and you will enter Al-Jannah. May Allah Jalla wa Ala guide us. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anything that I say, if it's correct, it's from Allah Jalla wa Ala. If any mistake is made, it's from me and from Shaitan. May Allah grant us beneficial knowledge. We are here. They can turn the recording off, but please let us take 5 minutes. 5 minutes of our time. I live in East London. Many of you live in this bowl. And I'm going to drive and I wasn't feeling well at all. But I just decided not to go away and let my brothers and sisters down. Yeah? I am going to do the questions. What is a tawheed?